Welcome to MetroCasting. I'm Doug Farley. We begin with an update on a story we first brought you in Season 2 of MetroCasting. It involves a man, his love of a particular type of music, and his desire to bring it to the masses. In a past episode of MetroCasting, we brought you the story of one local man's quest to build a digital pipe organ. When last we left Bob Glass, he had the early makings of his digital dream situated in the basement of his home. At that time, we brought famed local organist Emil Kitlin along with us in order to get a professional's opinion about the device. His reaction, even at that early stage of the process, was one of surprise and delight. Well, a little over a year has passed since we last visited this subject, and a year later, what started out as a hobby has grown into a full-blown obsession. That little digital pipe organ is now a full-sized digital pipe organ, complete with a multi-tiered keyboard, manual and digital stops, foot pedals, and a wall of sound. Still powered by an Apple computer and a program known as Hopwork, at some point during the last year, the complete ensemble was transported to the Bloomsburg Community Church at 4th and West Streets in Bloomsburg. That is where it now accompanies the church congregation during hymns on Sunday mornings, and where it entertains those who have had the privilege to hear, or better yet, play it. But more on that a little later. First, we want to show you the process of how the Bob Glass digital pipe organ grew to its current size and stature. MetroCasting was there as a few of our fellow MetroCast employees, namely Matt Ettinger, John Lacey, Eric Hager, and Tom Coombe, helped Mr. Glass move everything from his basement to the church. Once there, they moved a few things around in order to make room for the organ, and they put the shelves together that hold the wall of speakers. Then the speaker system itself, the backbone of the project, was wired and ready for use. This, by the way, was the organ the church had been using. As you can see, the new digital organ is quite an upgrade. Now, initially, a small MIDI keyboard was used as a means to play the organ, or one of Bob's numerous MIDI programs were used as a part of the church service. MIDI, by the way, stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface, and they are computer programs that play an instrument the exact way it was performed by somebody else. In fact, on the computer screen, you can actually see the keys of the organ moving the same as the person who recorded the piece originally. Those particular sounds can also be sampled by the Hopwork organ to play any other song the current organist may wish to play. Bob's original concept of using a couple of modern or stage keyboards was even used for a time while a traditional pipe organ console and keyboard was located. Once a traditional console was found, it had to be rewired for use with the MIDI interface devices that drive that entire instrument. That included the pedals and the manual stops and the keyboards. As you can see, the entire project was quite an undertaking, but once finished, as you will see and hear, it was well worth the effort. All right, now that you have a better understanding of what it took to get it from this to this, let's backtrack a moment to last summer. In the midst of his work to create this digital masterpiece, a young pipe organ enthusiast, Cody Mead, got wind of the project and stopped by to try his hand at playing the digi organ. You know how people talk about making something hum or sing? Well, that's what Cody and a friend from New York were able to do even without the use of a traditional keyboard.
It sounds a lot more like a real pipe organ than digital organs that organ companies build, and the fact that you can download so many different samples from different organs throughout the world makes it more versatile than any electronic organ that you can buy standard, or for that matter, actual pipe organs. Once you get the proper sound system and everything set up, it really is more versatile and useful than any standard electronic organ and most pipe organs.
Darren, you're playing this organ for the first time. Is this the first time you've ever seen a hop work?
Yes, it is. I'm very impressed.
How so?
It sounds exactly like a real organ. I love playing a little keyboard like this because it's not as heavy as some of the actions, so you can control what keyboard you use. But it sounds like a real organ. It's way better than a lot of electronic organs that I've heard, big names. The sampling is incredible.
Why did you want to build this?
Well, it was a technical challenge, and I've always enjoyed organ music. I love the pipe organ. Having one is just so impractical. You would need a huge, huge house, tons of financial resources, just not practical whatsoever. And when the hardware got to the point and the software got developed to the point where this dream was achievable, then I was driven to make this happen. And so, like I said, I started with simple pipe samples, and when I heard the potential, it just drove me to take this to the extreme. And so now we have fully developed software. In its latest release, it just does everything you could ask for. It does, in this particular instrument, does require a lot of computer resources, but the end result was definitely worth it.
As Bob said, his passion for this type of music and the sound the Hopwork software produced was all the inspiration he needed to take this project as far as his resources could reach, including finding an actual church to place the digital pipe organ in. Now, it may come as a surprise to know that each traditional pipe organ is set up according to the sound of the room it is in. That means what may sound good in your church or venue may not sound as good in another room due to the differences in each location, including the length of the walls, the height of the ceiling, the type of glass, and even the furniture and people in the room. Larger rooms create a wet sound, which is another way of saying it leaves a certain melodic echo when a note or a song is played or done playing. On the other hand, a more insulated and smaller room may create a dry sound, which means when the note or song is finished, there is little or no echo afterwards. The same holds true for the digital pipe organ. Once he found a church willing to house his creation, the speakers, just like pipes, needed to be placed strategically to get the proper sound for the room. The Bloomsburg Community Church offered that opportunity.
Initially, we had a computer running software that would produce pipe organ sounds through a sound system. And the human interface to that, I had some very simple, what they would call stage keyboards, MIDI keyboards, to test the system out. Since the test was very successful, the thought was to build a real instrument in a real church environment, which would require a real organ console, which would have to conform to AGO specifications. That's the American Guild of Organists. That way, any artist could come and feel right at home at the console. So the second part was also to expand the sound system to make it fit a larger room. This particular space we're in is about 50,000 cubic feet, and so I have 14 channels of sound at 200 watts per channel to drive all these pipe sounds into the room, and it seems to work quite well. But the main thing was to give it a real organ human interface, the console.
But since this is a true digital instrument, we wondered, why go traditional at all? Why not just leave it with touch screens and common portable electronic keyboards and the like?
Well, because you're still trying to make it appeal to an artist. And an organist is an artist, and they're used to touching or pulling. And if now all of a sudden they're being asked to touch a touch screen and look for something to light up as a verification, it puts them out of their element. And I want to give the organist as much of a at-home feeling as possible so that they can focus on the music.
Fortunately, Bob was able to find a pipe organ console, but even that presented challenges in that, as originally intended, the digital pipe organ needed to be portable.
The thing is, a pipe organ console typically weighs about 700 to 900 pounds, requiring 4 men, dollies, moving trucks, etc. Not practical, because I wanted this, when we started, we were in my basement with doing the initial research and development, but now I want to have it enjoyed and to put it in a church environment. On the other hand, I may want to move it. So the goal was to build a very capable console to control this rather large pipe organ and yet have it portable, to be able to be moved in a day or two. And that's what we've achieved. It's now at a size where 2 men could move it with a pickup truck and have it reestablished in another environment in about 2 days. I actually bought a pipe organ console from a church, actually it was a pipe organ builder down in Gettysburg, and it was very inexpensive. It was probably 40 years old, and what I did was recondition the keys and added electronics so that the keyboards would now send MIDI messages. We also took the pedal keyboard, all the accessories, and made everything able to send MIDI messages. So the only thing is, we did away with the large piece of furniture that was all the weight, and we replaced it with a conference table that was obtained at IKEA. And basically, the reason for using that particular conference table is the legs were adjustable in height, and it allowed me to build the console to exact AGO specifications. But the object is to have a real organ console, and yet it's still portable. So that whole box that contains the tilting tabs and the music rack lifts off and can easily be transported as a separate unit. The stops to the left and the right currently are being operated using 24-inch monitors with touchscreen capability. So right now, the organist finds a stop, they touch it to turn it on, they touch it again to turn it off. Eventually, I'd also like to replace those touchscreen monitors with real stop controls, and again, make them as portable or modular units that we can take and move them separately. But it'll then give an organist a real organ feel.
That is why we brought in a local church organist, Mary Lou Hinchcliffe of the First Reformed United Church of Christ in Berwick, the services for which are seen every Sunday right here on MetroCast Channel 10. We wanted to see if she got that real organ feel or not when playing the digital pipe organ.
I think it's very impressive, and it has a lot of potential. The fact that he has actually 3 different organs sampled in here, and you can choose which one you're playing at any given time, gives you such a variety of sounds to use, and with various pieces that are appropriate for the different sounds, because not all of the organs are appropriate to all of the pieces. And the fact that they are sampled directly, the sounds are sampled directly from the organ in the church in which it is located, rather than artificially sampled, gives the actual sound of a pipe so much better. And you're able to have the multiple manuals, and as you can see, a plethora of stops. So I think it has a lot of potential.
Your face kind of lit up when you were playing, I call it the Phantom of the Opera piece. That's what most people know it from.
That's the Bach Toccata and Fugue in D minor.
And what were you feeling at that time when you hit that? There was a certain note you just lit up.
One of the bass pedal notes. There's a really good 32-foot stop on there for the pedals to really give the oomph that piece needs and requires. And I was playing that on the Salisbury Cathedral organ selection here, which makes it really sound like it's being played in a cathedral with a lot of echo, like one of those huge stone cathedrals from Europe. That was nice. You probably wouldn't want that for congregational singing, but you can use one of these others for that.
For the record, Mary Lou did say that while the Bob Glass digital pipe organ sounds very good, she does not believe it will or can replace a true pipe organ, a sentiment Bob and others echo. But if you haven't got a spare $1 million or $2 just lying around somewhere, this would make a fine substitute.
Most average smaller community churches have, if they are fortunate enough to have a pipe organ, it's usually an instrument that's anywhere from 15 to maybe 35 stops. And if somebody wants to really blend tone colors, and if they want to perform literature from all periods of music, they really need a wider palette of color. So the digital pipe organ allows them to have 70, 80, 100 stops at their touch, and yet you don't have, you know, all the hardware behind it. So in no way does this Hauptwerk instrument replace a pipe organ, but if you want an instrument with a lot more resources, this is a lot more affordable. So in the example that we played for you here, we used the 70 stop Willis pipe organ from Salisbury Cathedral in England. If you wanted to replace that instrument physically with a real pipe organ, I couldn't even imagine how many millions of dollars that would cost. And yet we've been able to duplicate it here for maybe $20,000. So yeah, it's a tiny fraction of what the real thing. Now, mind you, it doesn't replace the real pipe organ, but it's darn close.
And that it is. By the way, if you would like to hear the Bob Glass / Hauptwerk digital pipe organ for yourself, you are cordially invited to attend any Sunday morning worship service at the Bloomsburg Community Church. They're located at 4th and West Streets in Bloomsburg, which is down by the fairgrounds. Or if you would like, give Bob a call. He will be glad to come and meet you at the church to let you see and hear it up close. He says he'll even be happy to help you build one if you are so inclined. Again, the number is on your screen. All right, when we come back, we're going to play a little football. Stay with us. There is more MetroCasting yet to come. Welcome back, and thanks for MetroCasting with us. Football, while not officially America's favorite pastime, must be running a very, very close second. Just take a look at all the football fields across this country of ours, from local to the NFL. That is why when we learned about a football-themed special event in the area, we broke huddle and headed out to Berwick's famed Crispin Field to find out more. Berwick's Crispin Field has seen a multitude of sports action over the years, including a number of classic battles for supremacy. But they all pale in comparison to a relatively new gridiron rivalry. A rivalry between friends. A rivalry between family. A rivalry between fire companies. That's right, fire companies. MetroCasting was on hand last fall as the Berwick Fire Department took on the Salem Township Fire Department in their 3rd annual Flag Football Battle for Glory, Honor, and Bragging Rights. Oh, and to raise money for a very worthwhile cause. Why did you guys pick this type of a charity event?
Actually, 3 years ago it started, and I don't know. Everybody likes football, and guys wanted to get together. They started throwing a football around in the yard and stuff and everything, and Salem Township did the same, and Paul Kyle, actually from Salem Township, got a hold of me and says, let's put together a football team and have a game, actually have fun with it. So we hooked up with the Berwick school and everybody, and things came together, and it's just fun.
The guys were always playing football, and it came up, let's have a flag football game. And when it came up, it was, what do we do for a charity? So they decided it would go to the Marines for the Toys for Tots for the first year. This year, with all the storms and the flooding and so many people being relocated out of their homes, our greatest need is to bring everything back to Berwick, and that is to help our local Red Cross.
The Red Cross has done so much for our community in the last couple months with the flooding and all the other incidents that we've had here. There's nothing else better than to try to bring money home and keep it in our community here so it helps the residents, in the Berwick area.
So any of the donations that people bring in today are going to go directly to the Berwick chapter to help them with flood recovery assistance or whatever need that they have where they can send that money.
Tell me a little bit how you feel about these guys having a football game and you're going to be the recipient.
Are you kidding? This is unbelievably fantastic. For our firemen, who are volunteers no less, want to come out and do this for the Berwick Red Cross to help all the flood victims. It's just awesome. It's just an awesome thing for them to want to do, especially since they need the money too because they're volunteer firemen. This community is just one that can't be beat. It's just awesome.
Tell me about your training practices here.
Training practice, we get together on a Sunday afternoon, 2-3 hours. The guys on the practice field out back. Salem uses the new field up there by the Salem Elementary. So we just get together and run through some drills. We're not really a full official team where we have playbooks and all that. We have a couple plays, but mostly the quarterbacks shoot right from the huddle, pick the play and stuff. So like I said, it's just fun. Get together.
Right now we've been practicing for the last 3 months every Sunday up at Salem Elementary School, and we actually developed a pretty decent game plan for today. Going to be some trick plays, so keep an eye on the game. It'll be interesting.
And why did they choose flag and not regular football?
We don't want anybody hurt. They're old and they're big babies at times, so and flag's an easier way for us to make sure nobody gets hurt, because realistically we have to have these guys be able to go and do their normal jobs that they do, because they're all volunteer. So when the whistles blow, they can go from their regular job out to volunteering, and we don't need anybody hurt.
Tell me the difference between regular football and flag football.
Flag football are using 11 on 11 today, and normally they have the ball carriers wear a belt with the flags, and I don't know, there's 3-4 flags on the belt. Once the flag is out, the player's dead. The whistle should sound, it's dead. It's like a player being tackled.
Other rules that'll be different or the same?
Not really. We're going to play high school rules today, and basically what we are going to insert though is if they get into sometimes get a little ruckus in tackling, and it's not supposed to be that way. So if they start tackling, if a player makes 2 tackles, aggressive tackles, they're going to be unsportsmanlike fouls, and they could be ejected.
It's called a tail. Call tails. It's a heads.
As for the game itself, the coin toss was won by Berwick, who elected to receive the ball. The national anthem was played. Coaches gave their team some last-minute advice.
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching worldwide, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Both teams then sprinted onto the field to begin the battle. At first, things went smoothly. A yard here, a yard there.
Berwick takes the snap.
Berwick had a big early play by passing for some serious yardage, but Salem's defense would hold, no points. Offensively, Salem started off well too,
Mike Bogart,
but eventually wound up having to punt the ball away as well. The crowd on hand, eager for some excitement, and they got it from time to time.
Labor takes a snap and rolls right. Looking to run all the way. Yeah!
that Salem interception was worth a second look. A low snap obviously led to some missed timing between Berwick players, and Salem was able to come up with the ball. A nice play, but Salem was unable to capitalize on the Berwick mishap at that time. Not so a little later in the game, as Berwick threw another interception deep in their own territory, and this time Salem was able to run it back for the first points of the game. Turning now to second quarter action, Berwick making a big effort to get into the end zone. Following a 10-yard completion, Coach Coolbaugh heads to the huddle, supposedly with a super secret play. And it works for another 10 yards. And then from the 15, a quick completion in the end zone ties everything up. And as the cheerleaders encourage more points, we can tell you the game went back and forth quite a while. But in the end, it was Berwick coming up with their third straight win. No hard feelings, and the two fire departments are already looking ahead to this fall's Charity Classic.
What do you think about all these guys? They volunteer their time in the service. They put themselves in the line of danger all the time. What do you think about these guys?
They're the greatest. It is a big, overgrown family. You have your own family at home, but then you have your firehouse family, and they're just as close as your family at home.
They say on both sides of the fence, I'm actually a member of Berwick Borough also. Everybody that's a member of a volunteer organization, whether it's fire, EMS, whatever, is probably the utmost caliber person. These guys give a lot of time, a lot of energy for the community, and you know, the only gratification that we get is knowing that we're able to do something for the community in a positive manner.
Oh, I love it. You guys are great. I mean, they're awesome. I mean, it's not just firefighters, friends. There's a lot of, I mean, we become a family. When they say brotherhood and sisterhood, because we have girls, I mean, it's true to heart, you know. I mean, it doesn't matter which station, there's 5 in town, it doesn't matter. You know, we're all together, and they come together today. We got guys playing on the team from every station. So they're a great bunch of guys. I mean, like you said, can't say enough about them.
Again, that game was played for charity, with the Berwick chapter of the American Red Cross benefiting from the proceeds. In the meantime, as Ms. Nyhoff said in the story, your local volunteer fire companies could use some financial help as well. So if you are looking to make a donation someplace, please consider your local volunteer fire departments. All that training and all that equipment they use to save your life and your neighbors' lives and your loved ones' lives, all that costs money. So help them out if you can. That'll do it for this episode of MetroCasting. We want to say thank you for watching, and we'll see you again after later.